Europa, Europa.
Europa.
So this is a digital. This is a digital effect. This is the same guy in both, like, with the face superimposed. No.
Yeah, it's not at all his brother.
Okay.
Yeah, it is played by his brother, though.
Oh, okay. Good enough. Well, this was a hell of a film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead. I'll come in at the end.
I'm trying to think of where to start.
Well, my biggest issue with this movie is like all the pieces are there, the acting's good, it's a compelling story. And I don't know about you guys, but I sort of, when we finally get to the end where he finally connects with the folks that he was torn from at the beginning, what should have been a sledgehammer moment leaving me sobbing uncontrollably, I sat there stone-faced.
Yeah.
And I can't for the life of me understand why. Because usually at these things, like, I'm a hot mess.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, the tone in this movie, and one of you, I think, pointed out, Scott, I think that, like, Taika's got some splaining to do, maybe a little bit, there's a lot of Jojo Rabbit in here at times, but when this movie swung into, I don't know, I think it was supposed to be funny, like, it just didn't, it felt off.
It didn't connect.
It did not connect. And again, like, I think that the first half of this movie is so flippin' solid. And I mean, what I thought was, we've all seen those cop movies where the undercover cop goes native and, like, spends the entire rest of the second and third act trying to keep himself from getting caught in the lie. Like,
and trying to maintain his loyalties in the right place.
Yeah,
like the Departed kind of.
And I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah, it's a good plot. It's a good plot.
And it's true, as I understand it, a true story, because we actually get the real guy at the last moment. But then
still alive.
Yeah, still alive.
No fooling.
but yeah, like I just sort of, there's something missing, because usually, like, I was so primed for that big cathartic closure moment. I just sat there. I
wonder how much of it has to do with the fact, they got most of their money from Germany, so it makes sense thematically that the movie would be in German mostly, with some Russian thrown in. But it's like Julie Delpy doesn't speak German, so she's badly dubbed. She did all her dialogue in English, and you just get this feeling that, like, it was like, I wonder how, I'm sure Agnieszka speaks English, and that's probably what she directed in, although they were shooting in Poland.
Although I'll tell you, she passes for, like, a virtuous Deutsche Mädel.
Oh, yes, she does.
Heck yeah.
I did one last thing. I did, Jim, I think I threw it out there. Like, I was thinking a lot about Arthur Penn's Little Big Man watching this movie.
Yeah, no fooling. That's
when did that come out? In the 70s?
71 or
71, 72?
Yeah.
But that's like a guy, an orphan kid who changes allegiances over and over again.
Like 5 times during the course of the movie.
Yeah.
But
it does have that feel to it. Yeah. There's a whole genre of Jewish Holocaust histories about. I've got another one I've got the French translation, and I've got it in Yiddish. It's called A Yid in Nazi Uniform. he joined the Wehrmacht and just made it all the way through.
Wow. The thing is, that particular angle provides some of the kind of nastiest scenes in this whole movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was interesting, and
I spent about a third of this movie sort of doubled over on the couch watching to protect myself.
I woke Sandy up a couple of times, like, hollering,
groaning.
What?
Yeah.
It's so weird, because he totally brushes it off, where he says, like, it really was a failure because pus developed underneath.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, God, please.
I think that the understatement is betrayed by the close-up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You can tell rather than show. It's kind of like that scene from the last one where, the girl murders her stepfather off screen. That could have been off screen. That would have been fine. A little
would have been fine with me.
But
hey, getting back to the Jojo Rabbit thing.
Yeah.
I mean, one difference is Hitler's on screen for maybe what, 2 appearances, 30 seconds
He has
total.
2 appearances.
One, Dan, he's
Three
dancing with
sequences.
Stalin, which is
And
interesting.
I mean, unlike Jojo Rabbit, if you took those out, it wouldn't change the movie, except it might make it a little better.
Yeah.
It would absolutely make it better.
And again, did you guys have the same? I mean, am I the asshole that just sat there stone faced when I should be feeling something at the end?
No,
yeah,
you
no,
weren't. No, hold on. You weren't. You didn't go far enough. The biggest problem with this movie is the acting. The acting in this movie sucks ass.
No,
The main character, the main character
was very
is-
uneven. I thought
the main character is the best actor in the movie, and his acting performance is like 75% of a good performance.
Yeah, he's
Julie
struggling.
Delpy, I don't know when she learned to act, but it was sometime after this because she's
Well, this is like her second movie.
yeah.
sure.
And I mean, her first movie was in a guitar flick, which is like a minor guitar flick.
But I just throughout this movie, I thought everybody in it was either extremely wooden, a caricature, or it was just you were doing like local theater level acting. And maybe they're going around Poland getting whoever the best people they could find at the local, Shakespeare company and just saying, pretend to be a Nazi. But like, and it's amazing because this movie has pretty good production values. Like
Very good.
all of the uniforms and I know there's not a lot of sets in it.
There are some places where there's lots of tanks and like armored vehicles going, and it's like,
I
wow,
thought it
how'd
was
you do
well
that?
shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Very big looking.
yeah.
Yeah. Looks good.
But yeah, right. There's something about this little bit amateur. You know what I mean? The acting is kind of on the surface a little bit, so it wasn't fully engaging. Maybe it was the way. Maybe the director didn't actually kind of pierce the veil a little bit. Maybe he could have gone and done a little bit more with the actors, or a little bit more with
It
camera
needed to be
placement.
weirder or less weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Like this
It
movie.
was also made at a weird time, right?
Sure.
Like Poland
09?
just getting out of communism.
Yeah, that's a pretty strange time.
And
Yeah, I was kind of grateful because I didn't care to be too stressed out that night while I was watching it.
Well, there you
The
go.
fact that it just washed over me and I just sort of absorbed it as a movie, and
yeah,
it's like a pretty good story.
All right. Well, there it is.
Story is super solid. I mean, like this should have been great.
On
Yeah.
paper, this is a really good story.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure his autobiography is really fascinating.
Yeah.
Like and I wonder what they changed cinematically to make this more of a film, because I definitely feel like I don't really think you captured Stalin's son. Like I don't think that actually happened.
You didn't buy it, huh?
I was wondering
No.
if that was even true within the the
the
framework of the
Germans did
story.
capture him on the Russian front.
They did, yeah.
And Stalin disowned him because
Also, we got our first skull measuring scene in a Yelling About Movies movie,
Yes.
which I'm surprised it took us this
Interesting.
long.
Didn't we
Yeah.
get one in each film this week?
Yeah,
When they're weighing him, they also put
they're weighing
the
him.
lady with the shaky hands puts the calipers on his
That
head.
was
in the other
also
film.
another part where I was thinking about JoJo, because like JoJo played it fully for laughs, like the
Yeah.
ridiculous caricatures that the Nazis were making about ethnicities, and then this movie sort of like get about 50% of the way toward the ludicrous.
Yeah.
And I don't again, it was so close to being comical that I couldn't figure out whether to take it seriously or
Yeah,
not.
I thought the teacher who was explaining to the room full of brown shirts how to recognize a Jew, his delivery of all these racist stereotypes was so comically overdone.
It was
he
arch.
thinks,
It was
he
very
thinks
arch.
he's in a comedy.
Yeah.
The rest of the people in that room don't think he's in a comedy, which is the problem.
But do you think the teacher in the scene thinks he's in a comedy, or the actor playing
The
it?
actor
Yeah,
thinks he's in
see,
a
that's-
comedy.
Well,
That's a
but
problem, and they should have reeled him in.
But
Right.
John, that goes back to the director again. It says,
Yep.
play it light, play it fun. Like we're supposed this is a big payoff because he can't figure out who the Jews are in
The
That happened-
candy the candy being delivered through the air vent by Stalin, that was funny as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Um,
then she says, "I love communism," and then the bombs drop.
Right.
Like that's how you kind of get you get the black humor part of it in those sections, and then it goes from that to the dancing scene. And it's just like, what are you
Yeah.
doing?
But
Yeah.
Actually, the candy falling and then the bombing starting would have been completely in place in Jojo Rabbit. A scene like that would have worked perfectly in Jojo Rabbit.
Right.
Whereas here it felt a little artificial.
But I think you picked this. Anthropoid, was that your pick, Tad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about had this played like Anthropoid.
Dude, that film was a punch in the guts. That
No,
film.
I know, but right, like
It would have had to be sedated.
I know. No
story,
fooling.
This story is worthy of a take like Anthropoid.
Right.
Agree.
Stakes are so high for this kid.
Yeah.
Agree.
Unbelievable.
And he maintains his cover for so long. I mean, throughout the movie and for his actual
6 years, give or take.
6
years,
fucking
yeah.
years.
And also, I'm thinking of Anonyma, the woman in Berlin. That was a clean take. That was like, it was just done really seriously. I remember this film when it came out. I think it was 90. I was so years back then, and it's like we got the trailer and played it, and it was like, this is such an art film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you read the contemporary reviews of it, the contemporary reviews are very much like fawning over it because it's a European film about World War II from the European perspective. And it's like, you guys missed the fact that there's a lot of big problems with this movie. Like,
Sure.
Yeah,
it's like 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm like, what are you all smoking?
Well, it won't be the first time that somebody gave a movie a pass or a good review based on what it's about, not based on whether it's a good film.
Right.
I know, like Schindler's List.
Oscars every year.
Schindler's List at least gives you the horror.
Yeah.
It makes it horrible.
Yeah,
Like, that's
Sorry, Jim. That movie's great.
Again, a little easier to watch than it should be.
because it's a Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
But there's still like the scene where that kid gets fucking shot when he's walking and he just gets shot and he's on the ground. There's just blood gushing out of his head. Like, you feel every moment of those bullets hitting as he's walking away.
Oh, there are definitely harrowing moments. I'm not saying.
And this doesn't have anything like that. There was never a point in this movie where I really felt like this kid was under a lot of threat.
Yeah.
And like,
I can dig that.
even
when you get to the end and it would be like this sort of massive exhale both from him and from the audience, I think that would have been like the emotional wallop that I felt was missing.
Well, this movie is 112 minutes about this kid's dick, and the way you can tell is the last thing that happens is they go and pee together. He can finally pee with somebody again. Like, that's why it doesn't land emotionally.
The director must be processing something from this film.
Well, now the director is half Jewish. Her dad was Jewish, but he was a communist. He was like a hard line upper class communist, part of the apparatchik.
Yeah.
And her mom was Roman Catholic, but she wasn't raised as anything, basically. So yeah, I'm sure. And she sort of rediscovered her Judaism like after the wall.
Has she done anything since?
Oh yeah, a bunch of stuff, and
Bunch.
I'd like to see that too. I was looking at her.
Is this your wrap up, Jim? I just keep going.
No, but I mentioned in the second movie, there's Barbara Sukova.
Yeah, from Hannah Arendt.
Yeah,
from Hannah Arendt, but she's also in Agnieszka Holland movie called The Third Miracle, which has like American actors in it, as far as I can tell. Like William Hurt or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have to agree. I mean, I found it was like distancing in a bad way. That the dubbing and the sort of
The dubbing is so bad.
Yeah. And there's just all this stuff going on and you don't get a feel for it. And of course the book does sound interesting.
Very.
Yeah.
And somebody else might have been able to make a good movie out of it. But
no, and again, that closing shot of the actual guy, that. Like,
which reminded me of Schindler's List, right?
Which is almost the same.
But the difference, I mean, like when the last 5 minutes of Schindler's List, like you basically need to like get the mop out and get.
Yeah, I know. Pretty much, you're on the floor at that point. Yes.
But like, and this should have been like that. I mean, really, like I felt like the table was set. I think she really went with the comedy thing, because the punchline of the movie is when he reunites with his brother Isaac. Yeah,
he's like, I decided I was going to be a Jew at that point. He wasn't
Right.
going to like pretend to be anything else. Well, yeah, naturally, the war is over, buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
you get to go to Palestine. Have
You
fun.
get to go to Palestine.
Yeah, it's
go.
easy. It's pretty easy.
All right, so we all kind of agree it doesn't work super well as a
I didn't
drama.
hate this movie. I just wish it was better.
Or is
I
it
don't
me?
either.
Yeah.
But I have a question for the group. We're
Yeah.
all Americans. Are we missing the comedy? Maybe it works better as a comedy if you're from Europe.
It's a native speaking question. It's like maybe it's funnier if you speak German.
But the dubbing's still terrible in German.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was watching it in German, and the German dubbing is awful. Like it's
Well,
like
yeah, 'cause most of them are speaking Polish and English.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because they filmed this simultaneously in English and German. So like
It's hard to say. It's like it could have been like maybe that was part of this sensation that happened when they were shooting it. The fact that they had to kind of do two versions at once, and maybe it drained the life out of all the shots. Or maybe
Might have
the
been
direct- or maybe the director
saved-
simply didn't engage the material in the right way. It's
either
possible.
either she's at fault or it was saved / ruined in the editing room.
Mhm.
right.
Who knows? You know, there's a lot of reasons.
I hate to bring up this movie because it's like a bad example, but it's right the same year as Bonfire of the Vanities.
Oh,
Oh,
hey.
That was an amazingly good novel. It
Yeah.
was really
I
well
was
done.
It was a
looking
good
for that
novel.
movie like you
But
wouldn't
that
believe.
film was atrocious
Yeah.
Is that-
because the director
Is that
never had a
Kaufman?
feel for the book.
No, that's De Palma.
Oh,
De
it's
Palma. De Palma
Yeah.
did not get it. De Palma tried to
No.
make it into a wacky comedy, and he fucked up. You know,
Yeah.
but that happens.
But I guess
sometimes.
it's hard. You know, black comedy is a tough thing, but I mean, there's a
It is.
history of it amongst Jews and Holocaust survivors, and amongst like Slavic people in
And Germans
Eastern
too.
Europe.
Yeah.
What's that?
And Germans too.
And Germans too. Yes.
Yeah.
You could also make an argument that this is
And it may just be that she's not good at comedy. You know.
Yeah. This could be symptomatic of the end of the auteur era too, because this is coming up the end. This back then, directors could do whatever they wanted and make the films like we did the next film we're going to see.
Yeah.
Do whatever they want and make it any way they want, and that it's great. But at the end of the era, people really didn't have any discipline.
I think she's still doing exactly what she wants. The last film she made was not too long ago. I think it's the last film,
Yeah.
and it was about eco-terrorism,
Yeah.
and it absolutely infuriated me for one thing.
Oh wow!
Oh fuck!
What was it called?
I can't tell you.
That's okay. Well, look,
It was about a lady murdering people to save a pasture or something.
I'll put a clip in there because I'm kind of intrigued.
Christ, yeah, I watched it. I thought it was
I'm
fairly
on
well
board with the
made.
premise.
What's that?
I'm on board with the premise.
Yeah, me too. Again, badly
It did not make the moral case. I
Oh,
get
there
you,
it
I get you, Chris, but you know, I was kind of rooting for the bulldozer. By the time it was over, I was rooting for the bulldozers.
That's because you've
All right.
listened to too
All right.
much
All right.
Bogan poetry.
Yeah,
I
And then-
think
I'm like here.
I got one more. I got one more
Go on, take it,
Agnieszka
Joe.
Holland story, and this I was saving this for my humble brag section. I presented an award to her at a film festival once.
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
Wow.
I was on the jury with two other guys judging the best picture at the Sonoma Valley Film Festival that year, and she won. So
Oh.
we did a group speech where I read one paragraph and the other guy read the other paragraph, and I don't know where the third judge was. But I got to say, and the award goes to this film, which stood out above all the others, blah, blah, blah. Julie Walking Home, directed by Agnieszka Holland.
Okay, there it is.
And we gave her the award. And that film's pretty good, as I
Okay.
recall.
Is there at least a photo of that so we can put that in the episode?
Yeah, I
Julie
guess-
Walking Home? Oh, a photo of that.
Of you on
Probably-
stage with that?
Yeah.
Probably not. I didn't physically hand her the award. I made the speech and she had already
Get into
received
the
it.
archives, man. Find a picture and send it to me.
It's a great story, and if we had more time, or maybe later, I'll tell you. There's a sort of a caper that goes on the night of the awards at the festival, and she's involved because she's the recipient. And there's also Chris Gore is in this story, and so is Joey Pants. It's a great story, but
Wow.
maybe we'll do a sidebar.
We
Yeah,
will.
yeah.
All right, now thumbs.
I'm gonna give it like a 70.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm at Tad's level here. It's not. It's a little below.
Made me think of better movies.
Maybe think better.
Also
films.
true.
I think the execution was off.
Jim, had you seen this before?
yeah. I saw it when it came out.